This is High School Not So Much a Musical, a podcast that takes you on a ride through the peaks and valleys of a high school journey. Here are your presenters, Nitin Jaladanki and Ayush Agarwal.
We partnered with a couple of other nonprofits in the area as well, and I'm going to name a few. We partnered with Friends for Youth, which is a nonprofit that actually mentors youth in the Redwood City area. And these are kids who come from financially challenged backgrounds. They have experienced domestic abuse, and Friends for Youth catered for them, helped them, provided support to them. And so we partnered with them and conducted a workshop for those youth. And they were just so happy to be a part of our practice. We shared certain tools like meditative drawing. We taught them how to, when you're feeling low, pick up a piece of paper, a pen, and just doodle away. We showed them a few tricks. They learned, they were happy. One of our volunteers are youth like you. Actually, two of our volunteers are youth like you. So those students from Friends for Youth were so excited to learn and participate in this workshop with youth, other youth like themselves. They're like, oh, if these guys can do it, we can do it too. A couple of other nonprofits we partnered with are Missy, which is an organization in Oakland, California, that actually supports young girls who are sexually trafficked. And Missy, provides food for them, provides shelter for them. And we came in and then we were able to provide a yoga workshop that really helped them feel confident, know who they are, stand for themselves. And the last nonprofit I'll mention before we move on to the next question is the Sacred Heart Society for Seniors. So it's not just our youth, it's not just our professionals, it's our seniors too. So, these folks have lived a very full life, but now are not able to do a couple of things physically. So we set up a workshop where we did simple chair yoga for them. And they were just, happy to have learned that practice.
So I feel that with us being teenagers, especially growing up in like the Silicon Valley, we have a lot of stress put on us, especially throughout the week, because we're in school from 8 to 4. And if we want to stay back for a club or go to office hours so that we can learn more, we'd come back at like 6, sometimes like even 6:30. So I feel like the chance to go to like a yoga class throughout the week, especially for an hour, it's quite slim. But like obviously on the weekend we would have a lot more time and you can go and participate in these classes then. But if you could like tell the high schoolers listening like what they could do for like 5 minutes a day to like help relieve stress and help them relax, like what would you tell them to do?
A couple of things. If you had just 5 minutes a day, and those 5 minutes are really, really important, I would say do these 3 things. Sit on a chair, sit with your eyes closed, and just let whatever thoughts come to your mind, and maybe for just a minute, just let them flow. Don't judge yourself. Don't try to control your thoughts. Just let them flow. Let them go wherever, all over the place. But just sit still. Focus on your breathing. That is going to calm you down. That's one. Just a minute of meditation whenever you can. Second, I would say focus on what you're putting into your body. Your body is a holy place. It's sacred. It's like a temple. Focus on the food you put in. Focus on the thoughts you put in. Focus on your friends, your company. And this is not something where you have to pause life. This is where this just becomes a part of your life. So you don't even need those 5 minutes of the day to do this. You're just doing this all the time. What you read, what kind of shows you watch, all of these are input to your soul, to your brain. So make sure you charge yourself with good quality input. Your food, your water, your relationships. You guys are young, you have all kinds of relationships. So just make sure they're good quality. And last, yes, I would say if you do practice yoga, if you can, there are so many resources out there. We have a YouTube channel. You can pick really simple poses or really complex ones, but the intent of that practice really should be to tune everything else out. Be present on the mat. When you're on the mat, focus on the most important thing, and that is you. Keep your energy your focus, your concentration within the four corners of the mat. And if you do this even for a few minutes, you will feel so relaxed and rejuvenated and confident, and you will have the energy to tackle what you have to next.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, like this is something that can be done very strictly 5 minutes a day without a lot of effort. And the reason that's important is because a lot of people, what they tend to do is when they set like a resolution, like, oh, I want to become fit, then for the first, couple weeks, they'll be like putting in like 3-4 hours a day, like complete time commitment, and they get burnt out really, really easily, which is normal, because to have that type of discipline going in when you haven't built it up before overhand or over time, it can be incredibly difficult. But what you're proposing, this idea of just taking out 5 minutes and then every day, doing an additional 30 seconds, doing an additional 10 seconds, doing an additional minute, and then over a couple months you realize, whoa, I went from doing like 5 minutes a day to now doing like 20-30 minutes a day, and it's normal, it's a part of my routine, and I'm able to consistently do it. And that's what's ultimately the most key part to actually noticing results: consistency. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
So there's another, I'll add, just a little bit of visualization. I think the yoga practice is like peeling an onion. You start with the very top layer, and you practice it, like you said, for a few minutes, and then you're like, oh, this is really interesting, I see the benefits, I want to go deeper. So you peel that first layer off the onion, and now you have a new layer, and you now discover other benefits. So you're now you're getting stronger, your balance is getting better, your flexibility is getting better, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like this, I really want more. So then you're peeling the next layer of the onion, you realize there is more. So you just keep peeling layers of the onion, and you get more and more benefits. And like you said, you start with 5 minutes, and then you go on to 6, 15, 20, whatever works. But it's a pleasure, it's not a pain, as opposed to starting with a super intense workout where you're killing yourself for 50-60 minutes, and then it's not sustainable.
I think that we've been like talking a lot about mental health and happiness in general. And I remember that in one of the other podcasts that we did, we were asked about what our definition of mental health was. So I wanted to ask you what your definition of mental health was and how it may be different for other people, because I feel like mental health is a very broad category and we all have different types of mental health. So in your eyes, what is mental health and how would you categorize it?
That's a great question. It is such a broad area, and mental health can cover, like I said, anything from simple exercise to make you feel better if you are feeling temporarily low, to extreme forms of depression where you need professional help, where you need medication. So it's a really broad spectrum, and I'm really glad that our society now is so open to speaking about it. There is no taboo. There are shows, movies, conversations around this topic. And unfortunately, mental health is one of those illnesses which is really hard to measure. It's not like someone had a fever or a heart attack and you can measure it, but it's really hard to even determine and accept. So I would say that no matter who you are and where you are going to have ups and downs in life. So it's okay to feel low. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel worried. But I also feel that we all hold the key to our own happiness. No one can come up to you and offer happiness to you in your hand and say, here you go, here's your happiness. It's under your control. What do you do when you feel low, when you feel worried, when you're anxious, when things are not in your control? I think that's when you need to have the ability to bounce back, to snap out of it. And it's, again, very easy to say snap out of it. Not everyone knows how to snap out of it. So it's important for us to educate folks. what does snap out of it mean? Maybe it, for someone, it could be taking a shower. I'm feeling really low, I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll go take a shower. Maybe I'll go walk. Maybe I'll play with my dog. The awareness that you are starting to feel low and that you do not want to continue that path is really key. It's really important. It's okay to recognize, and like I said, it's okay to feel that way, but find a way to get out of it. Find what works for you. Cooking, walking, like I said, take a shower, read a book. And this is where I feel yoga really helps, because the practice is so intense that when you're on the mat, you really don't have time to think about those things that were worrying you. So my advice to everyone is acknowledge how you feel, but also give yourself the permission to get out of it.
I remember at the start of this podcast, you mentioned how you ate all the colors of the rainbow, like in your diet. So I wanted to like transition a little bit towards like food and diet, and wanted to know, like, what does it mean to like eat all the colors of the rainbow, or what are the benefits to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. We all hear about taking your vitamins, your supplements, your carbs, your proteins. I think just nature has provided so much to us. If you look at a walnut, it looks like a brain. I hope our listeners have seen a little walnut. It has those little convoluted thingies. It looks like a brain. You look at an orange, it looks like your heart. So nature in its own ways has provided such a variety of resources for us to consume, that we don't have to resort to artificial medication or supplements to feel good, to live a wholesome life. Vitamins, you can get your vitamins from your fruits, your veggies, all colors all colors of the rainbow. Each one has its own specific nutrient or vitamin that it can share with you. Water, just water is just, our body is 80% water. So if you're able to keep your body hydrated by drinking just plain water, you are continuously, cleaning out your cells, you're continuously recharging.
Great. So I think this was a really engaging episode. We kind of covered different fields like mental health, physical health, like what you can do in terms of your diet, adding water, adding like nature's remedies, and also what you can do in terms of like basic things you can do every single day to overall improve your physical health as well. And you've obviously dispersed a lot of tips throughout the podcast, but if there was like one big tip that you want to provide to the high schoolers today about how they can improve their mental health, how they can improve their physical health, etc., what would that tip be? And why do you think that is like the most crucial thing to overall performance?
Sure. So we did talk of a lot of things and what you can do when you have time and you don't have time. The one big tip I would say is just have that feeling of giving and gratitude, and you don't need to set up time aside for it. Always have that you want to be helpful to someone else, whether it's your mom or your friend struggling with the homework, or your mom carrying groceries. Reach out and help. When you help others, you feel good about yourself. There is, my favorite saying is, we rise by lifting others. So you feel good about yourself, about who you are, by helping others. Just make that a part of your life. Wherever, smile, be happy, and you will see all the benefits come to you when you give to others. So that's my biggest tip to everyone for leading a very fulfilled life.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Sinha, for your time. Thank you so much for all the tips that you gave, because we normally don't have somebody who can relate so closely with high schoolers. All of the people that we really talk with, they're all like industry professionals. So you're like multifaceted, because you can look at the industry side as well as the mental health side. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much to our listeners for listening to this podcast, and make sure you stay tuned for future podcasts.
Thank you.
That's our show for today. Now roll the credits. High School Not So Much a Musical is hosted by Ayush Agarwal, Nitin Jaladanki, and Rishi Sinha. Narration by Samhit Padala. Music from Louis Luang Relaxation Cafe, Tune Pocket, and Infraction. If you like the show, please recommend it to your friends and family. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.